I'm 72 years old, and there's something I didn't understand while raising my children. Not when they were small, not when life was busy, not when I thought I was doing everything right. I only understood it later, when the house became quieter, when conversations grew shorter, when my children became adults with lives of their own. That's when certain truths began to appear, not suddenly, not dramatically, just clearly. Most parents don't realize these things while they're in the middle of raising children. They understand them only after time has already passed. This isn't a story about bad parenting. It's about human parenting, about doing your best and still learning too late. When you're raising children, your days are full. Noise, schedules, responsibilities. You worry about grades, behavior, discipline, the future. You worry because you care. But what many parents don't realize until later is this. Children don't remember most of the things parents worry about. They don't remember how strict you were about rules. They don't remember most lectures. They don't remember how organized your life was. What they remember is how they felt around you, whether they felt safe, whether they felt heard, whether they felt accepted. That realization often comes years later, when you finally have time to think. When my children were young, I believed being a good parent meant doing things right, providing, protecting, correcting. I believed love showed itself through effort, and effort mattered. But what I didn't fully understand back then was that emotional presence matters more than physical presence. You can be in the same room and still be far away. You can be busy doing everything for your children and still miss moments with them. At the time, it felt necessary. Life demanded it. Only later did I understand what was quietly happening underneath it all. Children don't need perfect parents. They need parents who are emotionally available, not all the time, just often enough. Often enough to listen without interrupting. Often enough to notice small changes. Often enough to pause when they wanted to talk, even if it didn't seem important. Those moments don't look important when they happen. They don't announce themselves. But years later, they stand out. One of the hardest lessons parents learn later in life is this. Children remember tone more than words. They remember how you spoke to them when they were confused, when they were scared, when they were emotional. They remember whether your voice felt calm or sharp, patient or rushed. As parents, we often focus on correcting behavior. We want to guide. We want to help. But constant correction can quietly replace connection. At the time, it feels like responsibility. Later, it can feel like distance. I also learned something difficult about control. When children are young, control feels necessary. You want to protect them from mistakes, from pain, from bad choices. But looking back, I see that some control came from fear. Fear that something would go wrong. Fear that I would fail as a parent. Fear of being judged. That fear was rooted in love, but it also limited growth. Children need guidance, but they also need trust. And trust is something many parents wish they had offered sooner. Another realization came slowly. Children don't remember how hard you worked. They don't remember how tired you were. They don't remember how much you sacrificed. They remember how close they felt to you. This is difficult for many parents to accept because they gave so much. But emotional closeness isn't measured in effort. It's measured in connection. There were moments when my children wanted my attention, not my advice. Moments when they wanted understanding, not solutions. At the time, I thought fixing things was my role. Only later did I understand that listening would have mattered more. Parents often speak when silence would have helped. We correct when reassurance would have stayed longer. We move quickly when slowing down would have changed everything. Another lesson parents often learn later in life is about emotions. Children learn how to handle emotions by watching us. How we handle frustration, how we react to stress, how we recover from mistakes. Children notice these things quietly. They don't comment on them, but they carry them. Looking back, I realized that teaching emotional calm was more important than enforcing discipline. Not by words, but by example. Time also teaches parents something humbling. The years feel endless when children are young. Long days, short patience, constant demands. But looking back, the years feel brief. Parents often wish they had worried less and noticed more. Noticed the small stories, the half-finished sentences, the simple invitations to connect. Those moments disappear quietly. And once they're gone, they don't return the same way. One of the most difficult realizations comes later in life. Children don't remember what you plan to do differently someday. They remember what you did repeatedly. Connection is built in ordinary moments, not grand gestures, not special occasions, but consistency. Many parents come to understand that vulnerability matters. Children don't need parents who are always right. They need parents who can admit mistakes, who can apologize, who can listen, who can say, "I didn't handle that well." Those moments build trust more than authority ever could. Looking back, I also understand something important. You cannot raise children without making mistakes. It's impossible. No one gives you a complete guide. You do the best you can with what you know at the time. Understanding this brings peace, not to erase regret, but to soften it. Some parents carry guilt for years. Guilt keeps them silent. Understanding allows reflection, and reflection allows growth, even later in life. Many parents use this understanding to reconnect with adult children. Others use it to show up differently with grandchildren or with people they love now. Wisdom doesn't arrive on schedule, but it still has value. If you're listening to this and recognizing parts of your own life, you're not alone. These realizations come to many parents, often quietly, often late at night, often when there's finally time to think. They don't mean you failed, they mean you cared. Parenting is not about doing everything right. It's about showing up with awareness, with humility, with willingness to understand, even later, even now. Because connection doesn't end when childhood ends. It simply changes form. I'm 72 years old, and if there's one thing time has taught me, it's this. What children remember most is not perfection, it's presence. And understanding that, even late, is not wasted. It's wisdom. And wisdom, when shared honestly, is never too late.